Hello everyone, and welcome to today's video on how to unlock, how to play, and how to build Wilbur. Wilbur takes a little bit of time to unlock. To start, you complete Act 1 as normal, and then navigate to the red portal. In the red area, you navigate to the rest area in the middle of the map, and then select Accept. You then continue to finish Act 2 as normal, and then you navigate to Act 3, it doesn't matter which one you go to, complete that, and then you navigate to Act 4. When you reach Act 4, you will navigate to the library, which is at the top of the screen. Once you reach the library, you select the Continue option, which is to take a book about ancient technology, and then you will have unlocked Wilbur. Wilbur is a mage who focuses on doing water as well as electricity damage, or you can build him to have a speciality in books and buffing allies. Wilbur's passive is Engineer, which at the start of each turn grants 1 Energize to a random hero. His unique item is Power Glove, which grants some powerful stacks at the start of combat and provides some electricity resistance. In this guide, I've included 2 different playstyles for Wilbur. The first is running him as a damage lightning mage. I like to run a 34-0-16-0. On the general tab, I put a few points into speed. You can balance the golden shards as you like, but a little bit of defensibility and a little bit of energy. On the elemental page, you maximize your lightning damage, and on the spark tree, you choose the option which means that 30% of your charges spread to the sides of the enemy at the start of their turn. This means that you can really quickly stack on an entire group of people lots of spark charges. On the wet tree, I choose that wet reduces lightning resistance by 1% and that charges don't go down at the end of the turn. This means that you can also scale with putting lots of water on and just keep pumping out damage faster and faster. The second playstyle I have included is to run Wilbur as a buffing champion. I like to run a 47-0-3-0. On this page I maximize shards, speed, as well as a bit of energy, some buffer stacks, as well as some evasion stacks, because he has 2 mirror images in his starting deck. On the elemental page, I like to go for Inspire at the start of combat, just so you can get to your finished state as fast as possible. Wilbur's starting deck includes Shifting Scroll, Twin Scrolls, his unique card, which allows him to put a copy of a spell into his deck or into an ally's deck, 3 Zaps, a Librarian, 3 Water Jets, 4 Electric Discharges, and 2 Mirror Images. When building Wilbur as an electric mage, I like to add 2 Rains and 2 Scrolls of Speed. He's very cheap to get off the ground, and his kit is already best suited for this sort of build. I then remove 2 electric discharges, 1 water jet, and 1 zap. This is just to tighten my deck and reduce the overall mana cost so that I can cast all the cards that I need to. When I'm upgrading cards, I upgrade the 2 Rains to give a little bit more wet. I upgrade 1 Scroll of Speed to make it innate. I also like to upgrade the zaps because they're quite cheap, and it's better to be able to target who you want the electricity to go on. I don't think it's worth upgrading the water jets or the electric discharges. They're quite expensive and you don't get much for it. Building Wilbur as a book focused support is actually quite expensive, so I ideally want to get rid of as many of these electric and water damage cards as possible. And so I like to add 2 Scrolls of Speed, 1 Transmission, 2 Elemental Wards, and 2 Curse of Exhaustions. These are all burnable cards and help you get down to your finished cycle of cards faster. Unfortunately, there aren't enough cheap burnable cards to be able to get rid of everything, so when I get to remove cards, I remove the most expensive ones first, which are all the water jets and all the electric discharges. I keep the 3 zaps just because I can't get rid of them. Ideally they will be removed later on in the game. When upgrading cards, I upgrade 1 Scroll of Speed to make it innate, both my Curse of Exhaustion so that they burn, both my Elemental Wards so that they burn, and if you can afford it, it is worth upgrading Librarian to make it permanent, but it is a very expensive upgrade, so I skip it most of the time. And finally, my Transmission, I upgrade it to be permanent as well, just so that I can constantly keep buffing my teammates. When looking for items as a lightning mage, you want to look for anything that increases your wet stacks or your lightning damage. There aren't that many that are out there, so I tend not to buy much. When deciding what pet to get, it's either going to be Chumpy, who applies wet stacks to everyone every 2 turns, or Stormy, who does lightning damage and applies sparks every turn. They cost the same amount of gold, and it's up to personal preference which one you want to go for. Personally, I prefer Stormy because it takes action every single turn. When looking for items as a support, there really is not much out there. The ideal item would be something like Quill, which enables you to get more Inspire stacks on the team. For pets, there's even less. You can go for something cheap like Bunny, or you can go for Chompy, who lets you buff the team a tiny bit more, or Champy with some armor and some thorns. If you really have lots of gold to spend, Asmodee also debuffs quite nicely. Typically I tend to skip a pet for Wilbur, just to save on some gold. Something really useful to know is that if you run Wilbur in your team, there are at least 2 places where you can get a free upgrade for everyone in your team, as well as a boon card. In Act 1, if you navigate to the Broken Altar in the middle of the map and you have Wilbur on your team, you get a boon card and everyone in your team gets a free upgrade. Similarly, in the red zone, at the very top, at the Altar of Storms, if you bring Wilbur there as well, you will also get a free upgrade. There are probably more out there, more secrets in this game, but those are the 2 that I'm aware of. Playing Wilbur as a lightning mage is fairly simple. You want to spread out as many spark stacks across people as possible, primarily aiming for someone in the middle, so that it spreads back in again on future turns. His damage scales really quickly, so just keep on hitting and keep on spreading those spark stacks. Playing Wilbur as a support is quite easy as well. You want to try and burn as many of your cards as possible, so that you're just left with all the buffing cards. Unfortunately, with my build, the zaps don't disappear, but they do apply a tiny bit of supporting damage. Later on, you're going to want to try and swap those out for maybe a Tome of Intellect, Scrolls of Intellect, another Librarian, something like that, just to help out. You want to just keep buffing all your damage dealers, making sure everyone's got enough mana to do what they need to do, and you can always try and speed yourself up just to make sure that you always go first, so that you can buff everyone else. So hope you've enjoyed today's Wilbur guide, how to unlock him, how to play him. If you have any questions or queries, please leave them below. Stay tuned for more Across the Obelisk content, and we'll see you again on the next one. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.